I want to take a brief moment to introduce you to Thriving Congregations. You've probably heard me reference our Thriving Congregations team in sermons and newsletters and whatnot over the last several months. So let me back up and explain before we hear directly from our team members. See, shortly after I arrived here at First United Methodist Church in 2019, I started working on developing a strategy that would harness the strengths of our church and align our mission with God's vision for us. As I began to stall in that work, I got an email out of the blue that sounded a little bit too good to be true. It promised to help us do exactly what I had been trying to work on and figure out. And we didn't have to pay anything for it. It was being funded through a grant. And our bishop had recommended us as one of, I think, only 5 other congregations to participate. Now, once I verified through our conference office that this wasn't too good to be true, we applied to be a part of the Thriving Congregations program. We were accepted, and I went about putting together a preliminary team. Recently, I sat down with some of those team members, including our team captains, HENDRIX and WHITAKER, so that they could tell you about the process from their perspective.
My initial impression of Thriving Congregations was definitely interesting. It was one of a little bit of confusion, a whole lot of uncertainty. Everything that I read, our initial meeting, I think just brought more questions than brought clarity for me. And part of that is because the concept is just so different of what we were entering into. I tend to be a very clear, action-oriented person. Where are we going? What are we doing? And while this is a well thought out process, very clearly planned for a 5-year period of time, there was it was ambiguous. And I wasn't real clear what this was going to look like and what our meetings were to look like and what was the end result, what was our goal. I remember Don Whitaker and I in the beginning, once we both agreed to co-chair, we knew we were agreeing to something, but we really weren't sure what we were agreeing to. And if we didn't say it once, I think it was multiple times each month that we would meet, we would say, where are we going? What's next month? Or what's the goal? Or what's it supposed to look like in 6 months? So definitely starting out was a lot of uncertainty. Fortunately, that has changed. And I am starting to embrace the process is different. While I still don't really know what the final goal is and where we're gonna wind up, I'm understanding and accepting that it is a process that will take us very methodically, very purposefully, at a slower pace to allow room, I think, for the Holy Spirit to really work and move and bring clarity and direction as to what it really does mean for our church to thrive.
I'd say it's been an amazing group. It's probably 7 to 9 people at any given meeting that we've had. Just a few words that come to mind, dedicated, open to ideas, very committed to sharing, being supportive of the different people that are in the group. And one thing that I think that struck me was when we started down this journey early on, it was a little ambiguous as to exactly what it was going to look like. And a lot of times the unknown can be fearful for people. And what I loved about our group was it didn't take away anybody's desire to want to be there, and it almost made it a greater desire to be a part of it. I think they realized that this was going to be a little bit more of an investment in time, a little bit more of an investment in sharing thoughts and really kind of going through, again, that longer term process. And so everyone's desire and ability to stick with it and be dedicated to that process was really something that caught my attention and obviously in a very positive way.
Good. But I think it's a very diverse group, not just age-wise, but men and women, and then all different kinds of education and backgrounds, different work experiences, business experiences, teaching, just diverse backgrounds from. I think it's a very good cross-section of our congregation to give it a good representation for this process, and I think it's very healthy.
And other committees like worship, for instance, or we basically have jobs that we do as far as changing the colors in the church, or helping with Easter and Christmas and events like that. And finance, of course, deals with mainly the money. But this is going to look at the overall church and how we can strengthen relationships with God and become a vibrant, thriving church.
Again, it's a lot slower process. That's the main thing. Everything else is based on problem solving, and this is problem solving in a way, but problem solving, 10, 20 years down the road if everything goes like we hope it will.
Thriving Congregations holds a big part of what they do is coaching, mentoring. So there have been a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings, not with our church, but with leaders of thriving congregations. And so, we have been blessed to have a great cohort leading us. And I think what that group has been able to do, and TANYA in particular, our leader, has really created an environment that I think allows us to get to places in terms of ideas that we normally wouldn't ever get to. And so I think that's what is probably the most exciting to me, is I kind of thought it would be one thing, and it's really quite a bit different, but I think in a very positive way. And I think what it's going to wind up leading to is something that right now none of us could pencil, and I think it's going to lead to some ideas and some opportunities that you would never come up in a 30-minute meeting, but come out of meeting for several months and going through different activities and processes to really get through kind of that initial layer of ideas, to kind of get down into a deeper level of how you can be impactful and what that looks like. And so I think it's an amazing opportunity for this church to be part of that group and to have that leadership, because it provides some lenses that on a regular basis we would never have the opportunity to explore in that way.
Yeah.
What are your hopes there? Well, I would hope that we would come away, I'll use the word plan, roadmap, blueprint for the church to go forward. We can, it's very easy to get complacent in what you're doing and keep on doing what you're doing with the same results of what you've been doing. So my hope is that we would come away with an initiative that would lead us forward, lead the church forward, to really flourish, to really prosper in the forward years. So that's my hope for the process.
I really don't know. I hope it's not like some of the things we do. We have a lot of big meetings, we talk about a lot of stuff, and then, okay, what happened to that? Where did that process go? There may be a few good things that come out of a big list of this is what we want to do. But I hope that it takes hold and it helps the church to grow in numbers, in active members, and in our spreading of the gospel.
The hard part is looking at your church and then beyond your church and trying to bring everybody together so that you can create a vibrant, thriving congregation. Well, it's been an eye-opener because, partly because of the age difference. We have all ages on the committee, which is good, and it's caused me, I think, to rethink some of my preconceived ideas, because things that I maybe thought were important for the people my age maybe aren't as important for the younger people, but we need to address all ages. If we don't start having more younger people come to church and bring their children and raise them up in the church, we're going to be in trouble someday.
I I think really what I've learned most about our church through this process has happened with this listening component that we have done recently. And I think there have been some things in the last 5 to 10 years that maybe our church has at times maybe questioned if we're all on the same page, or people having maybe a little disjointed in some places, in some areas. And I think we're really still more connected and on the same page than some have thought. And so if I've learned anything, that we are still the same strong church that has been here for 150 plus years. Is that right? 175? What are we?
I think we're over 180.
Okay, you'll have to edit that part. So I think we're still that same church that has been around for more, almost 180 years or more. I know that is one thing, as pastors have come and gone and moved through appointments within our church. The one common thing I have heard since I've been a member here over the years is just them being blown away with the strength of the membership here. And so if I've learned anything, I think that we are just as strong. And that strength comes, what I am seeing and what I have learned is that there is a desire, that's a real overwhelming desire right now, to grow together, to come together, to evolve together. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.